Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webcast roundtable today. My name is Mark Duclos, Senior Global Director for Strategic Partnerships here at Vertex, and I cover the Oracle NetSuite partnership. Very lucky to be joined by some customers of ours, Nite, and I'll do some introductions in a minute here. But the content of today's webcast is achieving full tax automation and Nite's journey through that initiative. This is a compliant commerce case study. So let me get right into today's content. A little bit of an agenda for you. Talk through some introductions, introduce the team and the panel that's with me today, talk through some challenges and some trends in e-commerce, talk about finding an alternative solution, and we'll get into what that means during this fireside chat, and then talk a little bit about implementing Vertex. So as I mentioned, very lucky to be joined by my esteemed colleagues on the call today. Why don't I have Jenna and Scott introduce themselves? Jenna and Scott from Nite. Why don't you kick it off, and then Bill will do his introduction as I've already introduced myself. So, Jenna?
Yeah, so I'm Jenna Sheeler, and I'm the Director of Information Systems and Business Excellence at Nite.
And Scott?
I'm Scott Dennison. I'm a manager at Nite here from the Information Systems and Business Excellence Department. I'm kind of their Oracle Financials guy.
Great, thank you. And Bill?
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. My name is Bill Flanagan. I've been with Vertex for almost 6 years now. I'm the technical product manager for our Vertex Accelerator for Oracle Cloud ERP application, which is our strategic flagship connector that serves as the bridge between Oracle Cloud and our Vertex product suite.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited to go through some of the questions we have. And with that, why don't I just do a quick overview for those of you that are joining us that are new and aren't familiar with Vertex. And then I'd ask the same of Scott and Jenna maybe to do an introduction of Nite. So Vertex by the numbers. Vertex is a 40-plus-year-old tax technology company with integrations into multiple ERP systems, e-commerce systems, procurement, as well as marketplaces. We have 4,000 plus customers globally. And if you look at our experience based on the number of decades that we've been in business, 60% of the Fortune 500 actually utilize Vertex tax technology to run their business and to make sure that tax is correct for remitting and collecting and doing their financial business. We have over 150 plus integrations, as I mentioned, into ERPs and procurement and e-commerce. We support over 195 plus customer countries, from a content and a tax rate perspective. 20,000 global jurisdictions supported. So a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience within tax technology. And with our tax technology and our solutions integrated into, for instance, cloud ERP, like you'll hear today, there's over 800 million tax data-driven rules that we manage. So as counties or states or countries make changes to their tax rates, we take a look at that rule and we make that change within our core engine as well as our integrations to be able to support that. And with all of that experience, there's a lot of individuals that are responsible for making sure that that content is accurate and is the most detailed and granular. We have over 100 plus tax researchers that are day-to-day, that's their responsibility. So when you're looking for a tax partner, tax technology partner that is integrated into your technology that you've chosen as an ERP, like Cloud ERP, Vertex is your market-leading solution. And we were very lucky to be partnering with Nite. So what I'd like to do maybe is Scott and Jenna, if you guys could just give us a little overview of Nite, and then I think we can dive right into some panel questions.
Yeah, so Nite fulfills products in a number of different ways, including direct to consumer, direct to store, and through the distribution networks. We sell not only the Nite brands, but we also distribute TrueZip, JBL, and OtterBox. So the Nite brand offers a broad mix of more than 600 products, including mobile, hardware, illumination, bike, fitness, pet. So we're in a lot of different categories, and really we're just interested in providing solutions to problems that people have. So,
Great, thank you.
We have over 200 employees, and just to give you a little bit of a framework of, we have 1,500 customers that we service annually, and that works out to be about 1.2 million lines across 100,000 invoices. The bulk of the volume that we do is within the US, but we do sell products across the globe.
Thanks, Jenna. Well, a lot of transactions, a lot of volume, and I think we're going to touch on some of that a little bit further in the webinar. So, wanted to just cover on a couple of highlight a couple of the areas we're going to cover, and I'm not going to go into detail because I think I want to leave it to actually the individuals that are experiencing this and implementing it with Scott and Jenna and Bill from a Vertex perspective. So, some of the things you're going to hear about today, right? Support and flexibility for business growth. That was very important for Nite Ice. Complexity in selling both business to business and business to consumer, access to dedicated support, seamless integration with Oracle Cloud ERP, increased efficiency and removing manual processes. So I'm not going to go into each one of these because what I'd like to do is really get into some of the questions and the conversation here. So with that, I'd like to maybe jump right into a couple of questions, if that's okay with you guys. And first one is for you, Nite Ice, Jenna. So as a growing digital retailer, and you talked about the volume as you did your introduction, right? In your growing e-commerce business, what were some of the challenges that Nite Ice saw?
Yeah, so as business has grown, we were starting to hit nexus in more and more states. And the monthly tax reconciliation process had become a pretty large burden within our finance team due to the manual processes that we had in place. Tax was calculated to a bolt-on calculated in a bolt-on system in our e-commerce platform, but not integrated in through to AR. So therefore, we had to use reporting to find these transactions and then go into the invoices, incomplete them, and then add that tax back in. So not a very sustainable process for us in the long term. So ultimately, we were looking for a solution that provided support and flexibility as our business grows.
Yeah, it sounds like a scene that's fairly familiar. Bill, from your experience in helping customers do implementations of Oracle plus Vertex, does this sound familiar? What's your experience around that?
Absolutely. And thank you, Jenna, for sharing your experiences. It's really insightful to hear about the specific challenges that Nite Ice has faced. To be honest, Mark, we're seeing these challenges echoed across many of the growing businesses in the e-commerce sector. I work closely with my peers in product management who own our e-commerce connectors, and the need for scalability, both in handling increasing transaction volumes and in managing tax compliance across various countries and jurisdictions, it's a critical issue. Complexity only multiplies when you're dealing with both B2B and B2C models, each with its own unique demands, right? And navigating this landscape requires a system that is not just robust, but it's also flexible enough to adapt to the evolving needs of a growing business. This is a common concern we've observed with many of our clients, indicating really a broader trend in the industry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank Bill for that insight. So I guess maybe this question, I'll kind of go to Scott. What are some of the software systems that you're currently using?
Well, currently we're on Oracle Cloud ERP. We use Oracle Fusion Order Management and Accounts Receivable. We also use Magento on our website, the Magento/Adobe, to take orders from end customers, consumers. And Magento is basically our whole website thing. We've been on Oracle ERP since 2018. We transitioned to that from a smaller system. When we transitioned, we went ahead and chose tax software because we've been sold on their ease of use and integration and the low cost. But the decision wasn't really made by our finance department so much as the e-com operations within the marketing team. It integrated with Magento, but it didn't really bring full integration to our financials. So we had some challenges in delayed invoices, delayed revenue. It really didn't provide a good experience for all of the business users, the business team who really had for a more seamless and full system and end-to-end system.
Yeah, so I understand it as you say you purchased or an area purchased a solution to bring automation, but it didn't bring the full automation for tax calc, which is really important to your business. Can you talk a little bit about that, Scott?
Well, it was really a selling point that we would be able to, as we went with the ERP system, to be able to have that end-to-end integration. But at the time we went live, we really couldn't automate tax calculation into financials fully or correctly. So we didn't get any benefit really from a financial standpoint, automatically calculating into financials. And we didn't get some of the other benefits that we were hoping from, which was kind of some of our address cleansing and validation, being able to take a look at all of our elements of our addresses and help to clean up some of the data that we had in our database. We then had to kind of, since we didn't have end-to-end processing, we had to come up with a manual workaround, like Jenny was saying, where we had to kind of stop invoicing halfway through to be able to manually adjust the transactions, to be able to add the taxes. Later, it became difficult for the AR team to keep up with transaction volumes as we grew. So it became a challenge as we sold more and had more invoices that were needed to have tax added to them for our finance department to be able to keep up with all of the demand that was being placed on them. So we knew that we weren't going to be able to grow the business without growing headcount, basically.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. So, Bill, do you see this across a lot of customers where they've had process maybe that are manual, and as they become more and more successful and there's a larger volume, there's a need for more automation? Any experience from that perspective, Bill?
Right, Mark. So the situation that Nite encountered with their initial tax automation solution is unfortunately a common scenario that we hear from customers converting from a competitor solution. Many businesses, they find that their chosen solutions, while promising ease of use and integration, fall short in delivering that full automation experience. And this lack of complete integration and automation can lead to internal inefficiencies, like delayed invoicing, right, which in turn affects customer experience and delays that revenue recognition. Extremely important for these businesses. It's a clear indicator that the solution not only needs to fit the current scale of operations, but also be flexible and scalable enough to grow with the business. The inability to provide that full address cleansing, for example, it's not just a minor inconvenience. It's a significant hurdle in assuring accurate tax calculations and compliance. We often see businesses, especially those experiencing a surge in growth, pressing for better solutions that can fully integrate and automate their processes to keep pace with their growth. And this is really where our Vertex Accelerator solution shines, right? We have features to complement both the automation and scalability facets of the partner integration. This year, we spent a lot of time, right, revisiting that architecture of our solution to account for customers that are scaling at an expedited rate. We also have released features that greatly improve the performance of our partner integration, thereby solidifying our position with businesses of all sizes. And finally, we are introducing a push-button experience that takes away that manual and error-prone processes of establishing that integration and upgrading to an automated and seamless experience from our customers, thereby fully delivering an integrated experience.
Yeah, so I think that leads me, actually, thank you, Bill, leads me to my next question. So Jenna, right, when you decided that you needed a better tax solution, you obviously had identified some criteria, right, for choosing the next solution. What were some of the capabilities you were looking for in assessing a new technology, a new tax technology?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think with any business decision, cost is obviously a major consideration.
100%.
And so we needed to know the true cost of ownership. And because of the high transaction volume that I spoke to early on, we didn't want to have to pay for every call, because as our customers adapt and grow and develop, so does, the breadth of our SKU offering. And so, we wanted a model that was going to be easy to budget for. And, we really wanted to focus on paying for the completed transactions and, to ensure that stable cost. In this environment, we don't have to worry about lost carts or choosing to have visibility, in order management in Magento. We can show it at all steps along the way, to just really have a fully integrated solution. So the other consideration would be the ease of implementation and access to dedicated support. It was very high on our list. Scott and I have been doing this now for 5 years with the Oracle and implementing software, and really making this easier on the business users is a top priority of ours, as they are our customers, right? Our business users are our customers. And so, Vertex owned the implementation. And so the fact that they were owners of the implementation and that we didn't have to vet out a third party and ensure that they were very well versed in Magento and Oracle order management, Fusion, financials, that it just took one element out of the equation, which I think, as an implementer, it's super important for us. We also had a really tight deadline for migration to avoid disrupting our business. Our contract was ending shortly after our go live date, and we were not able to extend it on a month-by-month basis. So it was pretty critical we got it right. There was no turning back. So, having a partner that was willing to stick by the dates and ensure a successful implementation was really important. And then, kind of as I spoke to earlier, having a fully tested integration, right? So one where it was tried and true. They had other customers that had already, done successful implementations with Oracle Cloud ERP and Adobe Magento. That was really important to us to have, a well-baked solution. And then finally, flexibility and scale, right? So I don't want to have to revisit this every year, being able to understand how our growth would scale and how we can avoid, as Scott mentioned, that linear need for resources as business grows. So those were our major.
Thank you, Janice. Yeah. That great insight. I mean, I think that's, I'm sure you could agree. A lot of your peers are probably looking for the same thing as their business is growing, as trusted partners, individuals that are going to grow with you, technology that's going to grow with you. And I think that's a lot of it's the core of the work that we put into our solutions. And Bill, maybe just a few words here, if you could talk to that. I mean, I think you touched on our accelerator for Oracle Cloud ERP and the thought and the decades of experience of tax technology that we put into the functionality. What are some of the other things that have gone into developing that solution? And then maybe I'd like to hear from Scott about, with your role as information systems and business excellence at Nite, why you chose Vertex's solution. So, Bill, let me start with you, and then maybe you can kick it over to Scott.
Absolutely, Mark. And I know Jenna just mentioned it as well, but really ensuring that we can capture that flexibility on the technology layer that every customer desires is an utmost priority for us. One of the largest differentiators that we have in market is our real-time BIP solution, right? Which is just essentially a method for us to extract the additional data criteria from Oracle at the time of transacting to aid in satisfying more complex tax requirements that we see with our customers. At the end of the day, right, Oracle only provides to us a set list of data elements for tax determination, and our RBIP solution really sees past this limitation and opens that door for flexibility, hitting that power word again, flexibility. So with that, Scott, I'll pass it over to you.
Well, from the technical side, one of the things I was most surprised about was not having to go and update all of my address locations and every geography and every city, county, state combination in the database itself. That was told it just wasn't needed. I guess that happened just a couple of weeks before we started the implementation, but it was a big weight off of my shoulders. It actually, the integration was seamless, not only with the Oracle ERP, but across all three of the points, Magento, order management, and accounts receivable, where we're all calling the same place, the same information, and getting consistency across all the systems. So we were coming up with the same numbers no matter who was making the call, and consistency was really important to me and us as a business. Actually gave us a full automation where once it was on, we didn't have to really do anything. We were used to stopping and adding tax or calculating or babysitting after the fact some of the data, either in the customers or in the transactions themselves. And it just supported that full end-to-end automation. And they had dedicated support team, which was really attractive. So they were knowledgeable in both their software and our software and all aspects of both Oracle and Magento and their software and how to make them all work and talk together. Those are the most attractive things to me from an IT standpoint.
Yeah, all good points, Scott. I think that's very important as you're looking at an implementation, and especially for a growing business like Nite. Bill, maybe a couple of quick comments on some of that functionality and the integrations and the knowledge of our partner software, our understanding of Oracle Cloud ERP and how it works.
Absolutely. And thank you, Mark, because I actually just wanted to take a minute to highlight one of the things that Scott said. And really, that's down to our dedicated consulting services, right? This is a point that I hear from customers over and over and over again. It's really important to note that our technology solutions are one thing, but being backed by the knowledge and expertise of our Vertex consulting and product support teams really makes the difference. Not only do they understand the technology, but they also understand that functional tax world, which to me is just as complicated as the technology facet.
Yeah, and just when you think you have tax figured out, a state makes a change, and we've got to go back at it again. So,
yep.
We've heard a lot of really solid points, right? Tight integrations, understanding of business processes, the criteria that Nite had for choosing not only Oracle's technology, but a tax technology like Vertex. ROI is part of that, right? I'm sure that was one of the things, Jenna, you and Scott really looked at. From an ROI perspective, how would you describe your experience since implementing Vertex alongside Oracle?
Yeah, so a few people have already talked to the dedicated support team, but I can't reiterate this enough. I mean, we had a couple of niche scenarios that came up that we hadn't fully solutioned around, and the changes were made within hours, and it just unbelievable, right? Like in terms of, you talk about doing an implementation and there's always something you forget. I mean, you do your best. We had this well scoped and everything, but there was this one scenario with this one customer where it was like, can you guys do it? And they're like, yeah, It's just unbelievable how great the support team was to work with. And so, with that, it really eased the burden, not only on my own team, but, the burden and the stress of the financial team. And, with any big change like this, the finance team or any team, will have some change resistance, but the Vertex team really helped create a smooth transition and really exceeded the expectations of my team and the finance team. So that just goes to speak to the knowledge of the product and how flexible the solution is. There was really a number of different ways to achieve the end state, and we worked with the team to come up with the best scenario for us. So I think it worked great.
Good. It's good to hear that. That is a big part of the ROI, right? Make that investment. How fast are you going to realize that, right? And get that back into the business is important. Bill, are you seeing this as well with other customers as they take a look at the total investment, right? Total cost of ownership around systems and software?
Hey, absolutely, Mark. And what's great about our product, the Vertex Accelerator, right, is that it's not just focused on improving that time to value for an active implementation and for help addressing those catered issues like Jenna was talking about with the one customer scenario, but it also serves as a tool that we encourage our customers to continue to utilize throughout the life cycle of the Vertex integration. We're not expecting customers to only touch the accelerator once during the initial configuration and move on, right? We want to introduce a plethora of useful tools and features that will make the lives of our customers easier. And features like that batch troubleshooting center that enables self-service troubleshooting and resolution empowers our customers to really take hold of their accelerator product and own their integration. And if that's not enough, our dedicated support team, like Jenna mentioned, is always at the ready to assist and resolve any issues.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So we've touched on the implementation part, and Scott, I think you live this every day, right? Post-implementation, now that you're in production with both Oracle and Magento and AR and Vertex solutions, what are some of the ROI things that you're seeing in your day-to-day?
Well, as much as I'd like to say we can stand on our own 2 feet as soon as we went live and I wouldn't need any support, anytime I've run into some question, I got immediate help. They were quick to address any questions that I had and minor issues that came up. They provided me with a full suite of documentation to be able to go through and deal with things like monthly updates and how to troubleshoot. Since we achieved automation end-to-end now, our accounts receivable team, the team that was responsible for having to update invoices or go and double check taxes and calculate and manage the address information or verify address information. We've taken a load of work off of their shoulders, and they're very, very happy with all of that. Everybody is more confident in the accuracy of the tax calculations. We can not only see just an amount, but the full breakdown of what different parts, city, state, districts, whatever, make up that full calculation, and we can really verify that we have accurate taxing going on all end to end. We also were able to do more address cleansing or augmentation, getting valid zip plus 4s, for instance, for a lot of our customers. And just managing the customer data is easier. It's also saved time on having to research issues to determine whether or not something was or wasn't taxable, to determine when they're trying to file to include or not include, exclude things. There's all of that manual work has been, I wouldn't say eliminated, but dang near. So they're very happy. it really has increased our efficiency since we're not doing all of those manual processes or scrubbing everything. It's really taken loads of work off of somebody so they can go and do value added processes and do their real work instead of trying to just band-aid stuff. It's like a breath of fresh air almost. The filing process itself is a lot easier for our finance team as well. All of the reports are complete, then you press a couple buttons and you get the information you want, and then you press a couple more buttons and it seems to be working a lot smoother for the people who have to do that. So we, as far as ROI is concerned, we really, I guess, relieved the need to add headcount, so we don't have to do all those manual processes. We don't have to add staff as our business grows to be able to support all of these things. We don't have to go and rework and redo or double check or verify transactions or addresses or any of that information. So it's really easy to do, and it's easy to maintain going forward. And I really appreciated the documentation that was provided to me and walked through how I help myself and how I do things myself.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Scott. That's a lot of information that's important after the implementation. How does the technologies continue to work together? Bill, any thoughts there around some of those areas that Scott brought up? We saw data, we saw filing, we saw content, monthly updates. There's a lot in Scott's world. Anything to add there?
Yep, and all those points that Scott added in are just all those great value adds that come alongside our Vertex consulting services and the implementation, right? I know Jenna went into earlier about details around the implementation, but I think it's also kind of important to note that, and I was informed that our experts in Vertex consulting were able to complete the project, and I believe it was just 3 months for your Oracle Cloud receivables and order management integrations for the US, as well as the implementation, if I remember correctly, for your Adobe Commerce Connector. And additionally, not only were they able to meet all of this implementation in a short time frame, but they were also able to expand the scope for you guys to Canada as well. And customer stories like Nite's not only showcase the breadth of our Vertex teams, that knowledge, that expertise, but it also really serves as proof to other customer prospects that are looking to transition to Vertex.
Yeah, well said, Bill. And I think that's, it's our understanding of Oracle's technology and how industries are using, and companies like Nite are using their technology, understanding their business, and then being able to produce and deliver those integrations, right? That faster time to go live, that's important to Scott and Jenna because they're running a business and their business is growing and their customer base is growing. So long drawn out implementations or implementations that don't ever get started or don't work, it's not going to help a business. So to that point, maybe Jenna, if you could talk a little bit about, now that you've completed the implementation, you had some lessons learned around implementing both Oracle and Magento and Vertex. What's some high points or some things that you would recommend to other businesses that might be considering adding a tax automation solution like Vertex alongside Oracle?
Yeah, so, as with any implementation, you need to really fully understand the functionality that you need and know what's needed across all of your teams, right? What your finance person needs versus what your order management or your website development team needs to know are all different elements. So obviously doing a pretty accurate scoping. And Vertex really helped with this, with the questionnaire. They had a questionnaire of things that we went through and some standard test scripts that we could think about and ask, using those things to help prompt us of the questions was really great because I'm not a tax expert, right? Like I'm responsible for implementing the software across our entire business. I can't be a functional expert in all of the complexities of tax, which I've learned a lot about over the past 6 months or so. But anyway, and then understanding how and where you need to integrate, because those integration points are critical, and understanding how you translate a business need into a functional requirement. So, Vertex definitely helps with that process as well, but understanding where to integrate so that you've scoped it appropriately first is important. And then, knowing who you'll be working with to ensure that you get the support and service needed to be successful. Are they dedicated, knowledgeable, and can they respond quickly? And Vertex for us checked all of these boxes and exceeded our expectations from an implementation perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Jenna. That's very insightful. Actually, not trying to promote myself here, but we Vertex have talked about that before, and I had a webcast where we talked about data in various areas of the business that need to be included in these conversations, because tax is going to be used by finance, but then there is the line of business, as you said, even the webmasters, and how that data is going to be collected and how you support your customers. So it's not just one or two groups in an enterprise that are part of a conversation. There's various areas that are important, and that's something that Vertex takes into consideration as we deliver our solutions, and we, alongside of our partners like Oracle and their solutions like Cloud ERP. So I know we're at time here. I truly appreciate your time and your willingness to have a little fireside chat, to talk about your journey, to talk about the challenges that you had and how Vertex was there to support you. So Jenna and Scott, truly appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Bill, once again, thanks for your insight from a Vertex perspective. I'm going to go ahead and close us out. Thanks everyone for listening. For more information, make sure you click the link below to get additional content, as well as reach out to either Nite or Vertex if you have additional questions after viewing this webcast. And once again, thank you all and have a great day.